Hey everybody, welcome. I've done a massive amount of work over this week to get it to this point. Lots of modifying parts. This frame, the MakerBot just keeps giving as far as modifications needed. So I've taken off the right hand side that we installed last stream because it was wrong, and I had to modify the front tensioner again. I found out that the rod was actually like angled, so the rod was like going at an angle. It wasn't parallel to the frame. For whatever reason on the CAD, these holes here are moved in. They're moved in like 4 millimeters this way. So I installed the part from that CAD, and the hole for the rod is 4 millimeters over this way. So the rod was actually really messed up. It was not parallel with the frame, so I had to figure all that out and modify that so I could get that parallel. I don't know if that's how the flash forge is, if it has its holes moved over or not, or if it's a CAD thing or whatever, but yeah. So when I installed the parts after the stream, I was moving the Y carriage back and forth, and it would slide like over, and then it would slide back inside the frame, and it was just really messed up. So I had to modify all that, and then I had to change all of the idler mounts for 20 tooth. I'm not using 16 tooth idlers, which is what these parts are for. 16 tooth idlers only have a 3 millimeter bore, and the bearings are not that great in 3 millimeter bore idlers. So I wanted to go with 5 millimeter bore, so I got to go to 20 tooth pulleys, and I have to change a whole bunch of stuff because of that. So I've done all that. Fingers crossed everything should work now. We can reinstall the right hand side again, and hopefully that's all good to go. So what I've done, you can kind of probably see here if I line these up. And now I have the part go flying. So you can see here the difference in these parts now. Clearly the holes were off, and I mean there's a whole bunch of things off. So that should be fixed. We should be good to go. Hey Nuno, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. So let me get my iron hot here, and we will do a few heat sets. There's not a ton of heat sets on this printer, but we do have to install a few. This should be very close to printing. I have clipper installed here. I've got clipper on this Monster 8. That's all ready. I'm just a generic config. Yeah, the frame isn't bent, luckily. Yeah, it probably looks bent. It's probably this is probably making it look bent. Yeah, I think it's this part on top making it look a little bit wonky. Yeah, I was just like, for some reason I was like, oh, this is going to be a really easy project. I'm just going to install the tool head, and we'll just make everything else on the fly like really janky, and just like hot glue some stuff in place to get the tool head to work. No. No, we're almost building a printer from scratch. Really lucky Dimitri included the CAD on his printables, because the CADs definitely saved me quite a bit of time. and it's much easier to modify stuff. Of course, if you have the source file, so I really appreciate him including the steps. So this would be a lot bigger project if there was no CAD for this. But the MakerBot frame is quite a bit different than the FlashForge Creator Pro. So there's definitely some things that need to be changed. So I'm just kind of figuring that stuff out as I go. I'm modifying parts as I go. And sometimes you gotta install them a couple times before you realize that there's some modifications that are needed. And just like a lot of parts on this are not generic, like they're not universal parts. Same thing with like the optical end stops. They're a specific optical end stop like form factor. So I had to order those yesterday. I was like, oh, I've been building a whole bunch of deltas. I've got end stops for this printer. Nope. So those are like one-off or unique end stops for that. Luckily, I can get those on Amazon. The bearings, I cannot get the, not the bearings, the magnets. I cannot get the magnets in Canada. So I have like standard 3x6 magnets that I'm going to use. I'm just gonna super glue them in place and they'll probably be fine. But yeah, just a lot of parts are not like common or standard is what I'm finding. So let's unplug this for now. I do have to do more heat sets, but I want to just take it easy. So okay, I've also changed, for better or worse, I've changed the idlers here so they print flat like this, so they're stronger on the layers. So I want the layers running this way, right? Because my belt's pulling this way. So I want the layers to be very strong. I don't want to print it like this, where the layers are like that. It's going to separate. So while my part does not look nice like Dimitri's, this part, because it prints like this, it's right on the layer lines, and there's a potential for that to pull off if you're tensioning it too much. So I had to modify this anyways for 20 tooth, so I modified it so I could lay it down flat and I could install the 20 tooth idlers and then an M5 pin in it. So because I modified this, I then had to modify all of this. So I have my modification you can see there in the back. It's mostly the same. The tensioning wheel at the front is all the same, but I kind of cut up that part quite a bit. So yeah. And I've modified the belts. I'm hoping we get the Y belts ran today. I would like to get the motors plugged into this board, and I'd like to move Y. Maybe. Even just like a stepper buzz. Move the Y back and forth like this, because I don't have an end stop. I thought I did, but they're not common. So let's reinstall this, and it should now be parallel with the frame. Because yeah, it's weird. The holes here are perfectly parallel with each other. But in the CAD, for the FlashForge frame, the holes are moved over for some reason. So I don't know why that is, but I'm glad I found it, because I would have been troubleshooting some weird skewing problems if that were not the case, but that's okay. So let's just install this here if I can. There we go. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to have to pre-install a idler into one of my idler mounts here. My concern is I'm going to snap these, pressing in the pin, or dowel I should say. So I'm using an M5 dowel on these. It's just, I have it, it's convenient, it's easy. But I'm just trying to see if I can slide this in. Persuade it into the opening here. Might have to give it a quick tap here with the old hammer. I just don't want to snap this. Let's see if I can get a, I'm just going to get an M5 washer here so I can tap that in. Hopefully not snap it. I think I got M5 washers over here. Possibly. Just as a little spacer for this, so it there we go. Okay. Now can I gently tap this in? Oh yeah. Okay, perfect. Nothing broke so far. We're off to a good start. So how's everyone's weekend going? What's everyone doing this weekend? This is my LAN party weekend, so that's why my stream is a little bit earlier today. Sorry for the banging. There we go. I totally forgot. I need to modify this. FlashForge Creator Pro. You can just use the parts as is. Right off of printables, right off Dimitri's printables, you can use a FlashForge Creator Pro. I think this is going to self-clearance, so I'm going to just ignore this. I do have to modify the other one though. The pulley's rubbing ever so slightly on this. As the printer works it and it'll work, I will Dremel this other one out though when I install it, if I remember. But like I say, these parts will all work for a replicator too. If you wanna, if you wanna use these parts, I will put them on printables, of course. So they will be there. But yeah, if you don't want any issues and you want to use the parts as intended, you need a FlashForge Creator Pro. Saying everything goes smoothly with a light tap. Yeah, that is true. That's definitely how this is turning out to be. But that's what makes building printers fun too, is modifying them and learning and stuff like that. So, and I mean, I hope that this will help others, like these files. I am going to put them on printables for all of you. I'll put a bill of materials together for this version of it. And then, like I say, more people can hopefully build a magnetic IDEX with a replicator frame. All right, now can I actually get this installed? broke. I'm going to ignore that for now. I think the rod will be okay. I snapped off one of the rod mounts. That's not a big deal. I can reprint it. Just want to get this up into the same spot that I had it last stream. There we go. Okay, we're getting somewhere here. This is not sitting flat. I do, I guess, know why, but come on. I'll turn on my fan here. It's too warm in my office with the door closed. Okay, I think I gotta push the rod forward into this part more. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's try again. There we go. You gotta have the rod just in the right spot for it to actually go in. But the work I did worked. Actually, go forward a bit. Finally. Okay. Whew. So, if I look at this now, it's parallel. It's not moving in and out of the frame. So, victory. Okay, so I'm gonna push the parts as like far over as I can so that they're hopefully square. And then once we get the other axes on, we'll try to tram it all up and such, but so that's that. Let's get these other parts on here. So again, I'm going to try and push this over as far as it can go, kind of thing. Oh, awesome. I'm very glad that that's helping you out. I'm glad my tutorials are useful. That's really cool. All right. Okay. Really nice and smooth y-axes. That looks all good. It's going to be very interesting to run the belts, I believe. Okay, so again, I had to modify these parts. I had to cut all of this out here, 3 millimeters, to fit all these bungs that stick out of the frame. I had to get rid of all this kind of stuff because I had to change the printing orientation because of that cutout. So this is all installed. That's all installed. I don't think that broken piece will really make a big difference. So, okay, so I've got this part here. I also had to modify this tensioning part for my tensioners. And again, I am using the MakerBot brass bushings for the Y because I only have 6 IDEX bearings. So I'm just using the brass bushings. They're matched to these rods anyways, so there's not really a reason not to use them. But if you buy IDEX bearings, sometimes they come in a pack of 10, so you could replace these. I honestly don't know if I would. I think the brass bushings work the best with the rods that you're using anyways, so. All right, so I'm going to install the rod into this here. This part will go in like so. So this is a little bit stiffer than the other side, but that's kind of how rods are. I'm kind of like not a huge fan of using rods anymore just because of all their issues on a lot of my designs. I probably won't use them again. Yeah, this one's like butter. And then this one is like, you can definitely visibly see it's binding up. So maybe what I'm going to try is I'm going to swap. I'll swap the bearings front and back. See if that makes any difference. Because they did come off of this rod, so. We'll see if swapping them around helps. No, it doesn't look like it. I'm going to push them in a bit more into the part. I guess it's just kind of how it has to be here. Okay, so I got to do heat sets on this. This should have enough clearance to go, and we'll go from there. Yeah, for sure. But I know these are matched. I know this was smooth on my replicator, so it's not the actual rod or bearing tolerance. It's probably this printed part is probably skewed a little bit. So I'll have to just lubricate it. Like, I mean, it's not binding. It's just got more resistance than the other side. But I do need to pop in heat sets on here and heat sets on the front of this. And then I need to install the rods in here so that we will have the X, and I also need to put the bearings in, and then the whole gantry should be assembled. And then I can plug the Y motors in, we can run the belts, and hopefully we can have that kind of stuff done. I have the belt holders all modified and printed, so again, I'm very curious to see how that's going to all come together and to tension it and stuff like that. We have our red tensioning wheel here, which should work really well. And yeah, that's going to be really interesting. So looks like I left the motor pulley, the original motor pulley, on that motor. And I'm wondering, can you even get pulleys on when you install it? And I don't think you can. So I'm going to have to take that side off anyways to swap the pulley out, which is fine. I'm going to have to just remember this one. I got to install my 20-tooth pulley beforehand. So let's actually do this before I forget. I don't know where. Actually, it goes like this. So let's do that before I forget. And if I was designing this printer from scratch, these of course would be double shear with bearings on the other side, but I really don't think though you're gonna have to crazy tension these together, being there's two motors moving the axis. Okay, bearing installed there. Let's trying to think the best order of operations to do this. So I can slide this part off while it's installed, which is really nice, of course. And I think I might do this. Or I'm just going to leave it loose out of the bearings so that I can get the rods in the X axes while we install it. So I'm just going to leave the bearings. See, these bearings run like perfectly smooth. They're really, really smooth on this rod. They're perfectly matched for it. So anyways, let me get my iron heated up. I think this might be the last heat sets we have to install, at least for now. I think there's one more on a tensioner, and I think that's about it. I'll let that heat up. But yeah, this is pretty exciting because once we have the Y on and the X, and I'm going to install this tool head, we can start printing already with the single tool head. And then once my end stops come in, or we won't be printing today, of course, but next stream, hopefully, I'll have my end stops. We can install the other tool head, the magnetic kind of catches. We should be very close to printing. The only downside is this bed frame is actually an aftermarket upgraded bed frame, and I did not get the build plate for it, which is really annoying because this is like $450 to buy. I don't want to buy that. Amazon sells the glass bed, like 3 of them for $40. I hope the glass fits in between these aluminum lips here, because if they go on top, it's not going to be directly on the heated part. I have no idea what this weird yellow like stuff is put over top of this, but I might have to get a custom piece of glass cut or something like that. So, and yeah, I think you're right, Mike. The printed part is probably like not 100%. It's close. I don't believe it was warped or anything like that. It was on my X1 carbon that I printed it on, and I didn't see any warping or anything like that. But you never know. The part could be slightly... why is this turning off? No. Why did this just turn off? Probably... Oh. Might have slightly unplugged itself. Yeah, I'm sure the part is slightly off, so it should be fine. Like I say, it's just got a bit of resistance. It's not necessarily binding up at all, so. And I don't have my... I need my angle, my square here, whatever. This doesn't fall and start a fire. I also changed all of the heat set holes for more of a common heat set, the 4x5 or 5x4 Voron style heat sets. I use these all in my printers as well. So again, that's what I have. That's what I designed these parts for, or modified these parts for. Because again, I didn't want to buy too much for this. I've already spent probably like over $200 just on CPAP and hot ends and extruders and end stops for this thing, and I had to buy a pancake motor for this for the X. Pancake motor actually goes on this side here. I think no, on that side. So I didn't have like a 20 millimeter pancake NEMA 17, so I had to buy that. Lots of little odds and ends, so I've just been trying to modify everything as much as possible so that I can keep the cost of this down. I have many other printers that I'm building that need money more than this does. So I'm trying to save as much as I possibly can with this build, and luckily I got the printer for free, so. All right. There we go. So I should now be able to slide this into this part. Get it up as far as I can. Oh, yeah, gotta install a bearing. So for this, I am going to Dremel. I'm going to just Dremel the back of this ever so slightly, so it clears the pulley a little bit better. If I can, actually, with this tool, I don't know. Put the pulley in here. Close. Needs just a touch more. Alright, that'll probably be good enough. Okay, take this, take one of my M5 pins, and we'll just pin this in here. There's not really room for a bolt, so... Hey Chaz, welcome, welcome. So let's just tap this with the hammer again. Hopefully we won't break anything. Oh, there we go. Good to go, nothing broke. Well, nothing important anyways. Okay. So, take our Y here. Put that in. That is not straight. Hey William, welcome, welcome. There we go. Okay, the other Y-axis is assembled. So, let's see if we can get this to fit in here. Not fight us too much. Oh. And I'm done. I have to do heat sets on this, which I forgot. I thought that seemed like 2 little heat sets. We got 4 more to go. Okay. It's fun, but it's a lot more work than I thought. I'm having to modify a lot of parts to make it work on the replicator frame. Building a rook, thought of stupid idea using CNC drill for. Oh, that'd be cool. For PCBs and stuff like that, would be neat. I mean, if you're just using it for PCBs, it's probably okay. I mean, the Rook does use all linear rails, and as long as you're not going crazy fast and you're just doing PCBs, I would think it would be all right. But it is a printed frame. You could upgrade to a Rook 2020. That has a 2020 frame. Would be an option, but try out the Rook. The only downside is you might have to, recycle the printed frame and go to a 2020, right? I'd say try it. There's not really much of a problem with that. Did I forget to change the holes on this? I think I did. This might not work. I forgot to change the hole for the heat sets on this side. Okay, I think I can just force them into the smaller hole. It's not going to be pretty, but I want to continue on with the build, so YOLO. Sorry, William. What print are you putting the IDEX on? I'm not, like, what printer? This is a MakerBot Replicator 2X that I got for free. And the Rook is too small for IDEX, unfortunately. This is definitely tricky trying to get it into the smaller hole here. Probably the only time I would really want a soldering tip, but there we go. Yes, take that challenge up. If you made smaller Bowden tool heads, they could work probably with the Rook. You would have to strip the tool head down all the way down to a hot end and maybe like a 2510 fan, and you could probably do IDEX. If you used a Delta 2510 and you took out all the hot end fans, then yeah, or the cooling fans and use sheet cooling. I'm gonna get this in there properly. Don't worry, while it's not IDEX, I've got some we got a Rook build coming up. So I have a brand new Rook base printed and ready to go, and we are going to be building a Rook with CNC parts and some cool stuff. So I got a lot of builds on the go here. Yeah, there definitely are some better tips for heat sets, absolutely. I always like putting them in like the side. Like I have my soldering iron on an angle usually, so it doesn't matter. Again, that's if the hole is made for the actual heat set to begin with, which these are not. But actually these are working better than I thought. Yeah, I got some crazy stuff up and coming, Chaz, so just wait. Yeah, just Funsor parts. I'm waiting for the bearings. Funsor sent me all of the CNC parts for the Rook, so I have this really, really nice CNC Funsor bed. It's 6 millimeters thick, but they never sent me the bearings with it. I cannot get these bearings except one place, and it's taking a month to get them, and they're $60. the Funsor AliExpress listing for this has the bearings included. So like this is going to be a nice printer. I have the CNC carriages for it. I have the CNC tool head. We're going to be doing some cool stuff. So stay tuned for a Rook build. We're going to be doing a stream on a whole bunch of printers. So definitely have those that notification bill on, and yeah. I wish they would have sent me the bearings with the frame, because they come with the frame on AliExpress, of course, but they sent me like the prototype or whatever, and it didn't include the bearings. So I was like, I could not find them. They're a special bearing. And the bearings on like their AliExpress listing are really good Japan bearings. But they're not LM8UU. They're like something else. They're like LMEF8UU, and they're really, really weird. So yeah. Not know if that one heat set is in straight, but you know what? We're gonna run with it. But anyways, so I had to order them, and I checked Taobao, I checked Alibaba, I Googled everything I possibly could. I think I found like one set in the States, maybe, but they don't ship to Canada, of course. Okay, why? This is not quite lining up how it's supposed to, of course. So this is, do I have, so I got to order some more button head M3, but I'm going to just use socket head for now for this, just because I want to get this mounted. But yeah, I just assumed like, oh, I'll just get these off AliExpress and whatever, I'll wait. Yeah, no, that's definitely not a thing. I mean, being in Canada is usually not great for shipping and parts and all that to begin with, and this was even worse, so. Okay, the axes did in fact install. I know I'm going to be taking this all apart off stream, but anyways. I mean, the bearing manufacturer's in Japan, so I just don't know. Again, I have to get the parts somewhat quickly. I'm sure I could have. But yeah, they Funsor must have contacted them directly to get the bearings, because there's like there's no other sellers really. I think there was one seller on Alibaba or AliExpress or something like that, but the listing's gone. They are very, very difficult bearings. So I found like a import seller on Amazon, but the shipping is like, again, it's like a 1 month. Yeah. I might even reprint this part so I can put the heat sets in correctly, because these are all screwy, but it'll work for now. Yeah. Again, it was just a one-off thing. If I had to source the parts for like another build or do it again or something like that, I would probably go that route. But like I say, if you ordered the bed off of AliExpress, you get it's NSK bearings. You get the NSK bearings with it. It was just I didn't have it, so. Okay, the next annoying part is taking this off of this garbage maker bot. I could probably break them off, but Yeah, I gotta somehow slide them out of the plastic parts here, and I don't know how easy that is going to be. There are little holes at the end here, but I don't know if I could tap it out. Try something like this. I really have my doubts though. That even come out? I do not want to bend these. I mean, I could Dremel the side. I was able to pull off the other end of it, but they are really pressed into this side, like badly. Okay, well, let's see if I can clip these off with like some side cutters, or actually maybe I can even, okay, the plastic's pretty weak. See if I can just break these apart maybe. I can just grab the end here maybe. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to do. So now can I just tap the end off? I don't know. Okay, that worked. That is the way to do it. Just snap off the end. I'm not using any of these parts anyways. I did not think I would be able to. I actually don't have much to hit with a hammer. There we go. There we go. Done and done. So anyways, yeah, expensive rook build coming up because I had to buy $60 bearings. And hopefully they show up. Okay, I gotta put the bearings on first before we put the other side on. I can't forget this. So let's get my IDEX bearings installed. But yeah, a similar bed for this on eBay is $450. And I am absolutely not spending that. So this was like an aftermarket bed or whatever, of course. Okay, so this 2 bearings go in the back. So I need 4 in the back and 2 in the front. Okay, that bearing does not slide that well on that. And again, if I was designing this printer from scratch, it would use linear rods. These bearings are so inconsistent. Linear rods are the worst. All right, so am I dumb? I installed. Oh yeah, okay. I need to just flip this around, but this should just pop out. And did I just break it? Yep. That should have just popped out, but instead it just broke. And oh yeah, because the ledge here. Again, this is not made for a yeah, LM8UU is just, yeah, I agree with you. All right, that doesn't come out that way, and that part broke. But that's fine. I can easily reprint that part. Again, we are test fitting, seeing what fits, seeing what doesn't. And I installed this backwards, and yeah, I snapped the upper part, but oh well. I actually probably could save this part and super glue it together, which I might do, just to save plastic. I don't want to throw parts out if I don't have to, so you know what? I am going to do that. Man, even with this broken, it's not that smooth. Anyways, I just want to get the x-axis on. I want to just see what this printer looks like. But yeah, do not worry. I will be doing another magnetic IDEX. This one is an experiment on, hey, does it work? Or how does it work, I should say. I know it works, but I want to figure out how it works. And then I can apply a magnetic IDEX to another printer idea. Not necessarily Core XY, but just, you know, do magnetic IDEX on another printer, period. Okay. Installed. Broken parts, I know, but is what it is. Okay, so these then will actually go into here. Kind of like a twisting motion, and then insert them in. All right. Oh, finally. We have an X. We have an actual X. It's not horridly stiff. This one side is definitely stiff. There's no doubt about that. But it does actually work. I'm going to loosen these parts here, and I just want to see if anything drastically changes, because like I say, we want to make sure that these parallel. Yeah, so that did actually make it a fair amount looser. Let me just see now if I tighten this up with it like that. So keeping one side like locked in and then adjusting the other should make these more parallel. Yeah, and that is an improvement for sure. So, and then yeah, the idea is this will clip in, and I know these clip in without snapping, and we can just slide the bearings through here. There's these stupid ridges that you got to get past. If I can, there we go. Should have done this slightly differently. I'll slide this bearing out. Slide this bearing on. And we have a tool head. So pop it up for you guys so you can see. Tool head. Actually moves not too bad. Not binding. It is smooth. It's got some resistance for sure, but one IDEX tool head installed. Finally. I have some stuff to change for sure. I gotta glue this Y carriage up, I think. I'm probably going to reprint this motor mount because I snapped the bracket on it, but my modded parts worked. They function. It works. We can build this. I got my hot end. I have the extruder all in here. So, like I say, I need to figure out how I'm going to install the belts because that's going to be a little bit tricky. But yeah, this is satisfying to see. We actually have a relatively decent motion system assembled for magnetic IDEX finally on this thing. Whew, okay. And yeah, these bearings can sit on this side and I can get this tool head printing for now. It homes to here, so there is a optical end stop that goes here. This will home, and then this homes to the back, and then it should come out, boom, and start printing. So I can get this tool head printing maybe next stream, because like I say, I've got clipper, I've got the board. I actually have the splitter for the Y motors so that we can plug both Y motors into a single stepper. So I'm very, very happy with that. These flanges on the side, though, are going to be a real pain to work with installing the belts. I think I can get it, but yeah, CPAP is a great option for sure. I don't know. I'm always a big fan of sheet cooling. I hate the idea of you have a cooling fan on a tool head that's moving, which already doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, you want cooling constantly on your part. Like, always. For the whole part should be cooled while it's printing. Putting a fan on the tool head and trying to cool as you print has always been like a weird idea for me. I've always just in my head found it to make more sense to just let's just cool the entire part through the whole print, like actively, constantly cooling it. So that's kind of the route I've always really liked in my idea. And again, you'll see some more stuff from me in the future on stuff like that. But yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about this so far. So. Yeah, $30, 30 euros is pretty expensive for me. I think this board's 75 bucks Canadian with 8 drivers. So the Monster 8 is great for me, but 2 boards and clipper is really easy. Absolutely. But yeah. I think this is going to work. I'm pretty excited for this. Yeah, the belt kind of install here definitely is worrying a little bit. Trying to figure out how I'm going to get the belt all attached with these. I'll show you guys kind of how this is supposed to work. So we'll grab some belt here from my parts hoard. Do I have a pre-cut something smaller already? No, but anyways. So we slide this forward. This is going to go around this pulley, which easy. That's no problem whatsoever. And these belt path, again, Cartesian. This is a pretty awesome motion system. I know it's not Core XY, but the fact that these tool heads are light and there's just one little pancake motor on one side and then 2 Y motors, this is a great motion system as far as weight is concerned. The belt path is much better than Core XY. You just have these short little tiny belts on each side and then a nice straight line X belt. Really, really simple, really easy. And I'm appreciating that more and more. But anyways, how these go is you have these cartridges, these belt cartridges here that have teeth on them. So essentially half of the belt goes on the bottom here and you slide this cartridge over it, which locks the belt in. Kind of like Apex clips. So it's now attached to this cartridge. So then you kind of got to slide this through the other side to attach the other side of the belt, right? So we push this through until you can get the teeth showing on the other side here. So you can see the teeth here on the other side, and then you'll loop the belt around. So this belt will loop around the motor, right? It's going to come back through, loop around the idler, and then come back, and it will attach here, right? So here's your Y belt, just like so. And then this carriage bolts onto the top of this. So this shouldn't be too big of a deal, but I kind of got to figure out how the routing works, like the order of operations, I guess I should say, for the routing. So we get the belt around the motor. That's not a problem. We then slide this to the middle here. So this is going to go here. This will go through the top, and then it's going to wrap around the idler and then come back. And yeah, I'm going to bolt it into this part here. Because yeah, I'm pretty sure the FlashForge Creator Pro doesn't have these metal flanges like that come down from the side. This should still work. I just got to figure out the belt length. So if I wrap it around here, so I should actually be able to cut this. Now, do I have my cutters? Okay, I'll have to remeasure that. So I think this part might be a bit tedious, and I most likely will do the belts, at least the Y belt off stream, because there's going to be a lot of back and forth I foresee on this. So I should be able to at least cut this right here. So now I can fish this through the idler. Trying to see how far I can get here with this. If I can get this belt to wrap around the idler while it's installed. Which I should be able to. Come on. There is like no room to work on in here. Because how this MakerBot frame works. I'm going to be reprinting these idlers too. Idler mounts with more clearance because, like I say, they do rub on the plastic a little bit. I know it would clearance itself if I print with them, but yeah, this is annoying to install like this. And unfortunately, like, you guys can't see much of anything anyways. There's not really a great way to get video of this. Okay. See if we can bend this. So this is kind of just a test fit of the Y belts. Make sure everything's working as intended and such. Is this looping through? I can't see here. Okay, why is it not showing up on the other side? Because there's a flat edge in there, it's not looping around. So what I will have to try and do for this, I'm going to have to unscrew these while they're installed. It shouldn't be a big deal. Luckily we have enough room to actually spin these. It's definitely a little bit annoying, but it does work. If that will fix that. Wow, why is that not? Anyways, so we're going to detach the idler out of here. Got it out. That's not a big deal. Loop this around finally. And yeah, I'm gonna be reprinting those anyways. And then we just go the other way with the tensioner here. If I can get this to work. There we go. Okay. This goes in here. It's around the motor if I can. I'm actually glad I cut these motors out because the motor pod's out. Otherwise I would not have been able to run the belts. Because you got to wrap it around one side of the pulley back here, which I got. Then we're going to slide this all the way back. And then you kind of have to figure out the length here to cut off so that you can... Let's try cutting this off. Slide that over top to lock the belt in, basically. Okay, kind of got it. Okay, I do have the belt attached. So now, this will go into here. It should. Yeah, let's start tensioning the belt. Okay, tensioning works. Now, oh, I did not run the belt through. Okay, so the belt has to go through the hole. I totally had forgot. The belt has to go through the top of this. It just passes through, so I forgot to add that, but that's okay. This is doable. So I can loosen this now. Slide the carriage back off, if I can. We gotta pass the top of the belt. I gotta rerun it now. All right, order of operations, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I apologize if this is boring content, but I'm just trying to figure out. Like I say, I'll run both Y belts off the stream, and like, cause I got to reprint like 2 or 3 parts. Anyways, I'm just trying to make sure the belt lines up, cause I had to modify all of this for 20 tooth instead of 16, which has a different size, of course. So this has to go through here first. Loops around this motor. Okay, loops around this. Don't remember which way we're going here. I think like this. Okay, so let's slide that. Just like this. It is definitely fiddly to work in these cramped quarters, that's for sure. I'm gonna try and get the nut in here. Kind of like can't push on it. Have to try and make that better. Wait, is this not? There we go. It's all doable, so at least I'm figuring all this stuff out. Okay. This red block goes into the so that should work. And then yeah, there's an M3 bolt in here. You attach that little carriage to this Y carriage. That makes sense. Okay, I gotta loosen this. Try and get this over top the motor. Okay, there we go. Now we can tighten this back up. Okay, it's nice and tight. And then, yeah, M3 bolt, we'll bolt this carriage. Perfect. Yeah, this should work. Okay. I figured out you can run the belts. Everything works. Looks like everything lines up. It's definitely a little tedious getting your fingers in over these flanges and stuff like that. But yeah, so essentially what happens is you have your little carriage here. There's a hole in it for an M3 bolt. And then this bolts directly to the Y carriage. Once the belts are kind of looped in through it, this will attach to the Y carriage. You'll put that M3 bolt in and then it attaches it to the actual carriage. So it's doable. It's around the motor. It lines up. Sounds fine. And the tensioner works. There's enough room here to spin the wheel to tension it. So yeah, this should actually work, guys. I'm really, really happy this makes sense. Okay, so next steps, I think for me are, I want to reprint this part so I can have the heat sets properly aligned and in there. I'm going to reprint the idlers with just a like 0.5 millimeters more of clearance so that they spin better. I'm going to reprint this because I broke the rod tab somehow. I got to reprint this Y carriage because I snapped that also, putting it in backwards. But this does work, and I think it'll even work better once these bolts, I think this front attachment here is binding the front a little bit in, but yeah, I'm gonna have to massage some parts. That's okay. I'm fine with that, but my end stops are on the way. I have enough belt for all of this. I need to find one more pulley. I think I've got one of those lying around. I've got CPAP. I've got all the hoses and tubes to go into here. I've got all the parts for the other tool head. So I think what I'm going to do is off stream, hopefully during this week in the evenings, I'm going to reprint these parts and I'm going to run the belts for the Y. I'm going to run the belts for the X, and I'm going to get this back panel on so that we can mount the monster, the Victreetech Pi 2. We can mount it on the back here, and I can start running the wires into these Y motors. I should have my end stops then, and we should be able to home this thing, which is really, really exciting. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do some tedious stuff off stream. Um, so that way we can kind of hit the ground running next Saturday. Hopefully it'll be next Saturday we will do the stream. But yeah, we should be able to home this tool head, at least be printing with this tool head. I'm gonna try and measure this and see if I can get a piece of glass that'll fit. And then we can start playing with some stuff, I hope. Yeah, I still got some things to figure out. I'd really like to get an end stop down at the bottom here, like an optical end stop down here, so that I can home at the bottom, and then in Clipper we can set our end stop position for our Z first layer, versus this little screw here where you gotta like turn the screw, try to print, or try to level the bed, turn the screw, try to level the bed. You have like this bed leveling, and then you have your first layer screw back here. It's just really bad. If I can get this end stop, completely rip that out, and put an optical end stop on the bottom, we'll have a much better first layer and much easier to get a first layer going. So okay, overall, I'm very happy. I think this is pretty good progress for the stream. I mean, you can see the tool head here. It's installed and it moves. Got a little bit of work to do on the Y, but the X actually moves pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with that. So thanks everyone for stopping by. I think I'm gonna end the stream here. We got a really good progress here. I really do think next Saturday, at least this end stop or this hot end will be printing. I think. We'll see. Depending, I might be printing on painter's tape initially, but I should have all the parts. So appreciate all of you stopping by and watching the stream. Definitely subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you want to support me on Patreon, definitely check out my Patreon. It's in the description of all my videos. And I'll catch you guys on Discord, and I'll catch you next Saturday. So thanks everybody.